Hey everybody, Aaron from Warmouth here, and today I am talking about whatever I want, but mostly tuners. So if things look a little different today than they normally do, it's because today I am here all by my onesie. All the bosses are gone, the guy who usually works on the other side of the camera is gone, and I'm here all by myself. So I spent the first hour spinning around in the boss's chair and the second hour playing all the guitars. And now I figured I would just make a video on anything I want. So I put the autofocus lens on the camera and I put it in auto mode, and I figured I would talk about some things that kind of go on behind the curtain at Warmouth that you maybe don't always think about. But, mostly it's going to relate to tuners and how we identify tuners and which side of the headstock they go on. So for any graphic designers out there, you probably already know what a style and usage guide is, or a style guide. But if you're not a graphic designer, what a style guide is a document that a company has that spells out how to use or how not to use their logo and their other visual assets, like their colors and stuff. And sometimes it can be a very simple document, like 1 or 2 pages, but if it's a big company, it can be a very thick, extensive document. For example, like FedEx, they need to know how to use their logo on their boxes and on their stationery and on their trucks and on their planes. And they need to know what it's going to look like when it's giant, filling up a billboard, or what it's going to look like when it's a little teeny tiny logo on a cell phone. So it's, it takes a lot of planning to figure out how that's all going to look and then create this document that will keep it consistent throughout the whole company. And this is really important because a company wants you to recognize their brand without having to read it. They want you to see the way it's laid out and to see their colors and to know who it is. Like if you think about the last time that you saw a FedEx truck rumbling down the street, you didn't go, I wonder who owns that truck. FedEx. Oh, it's a FedEx truck. You didn't do that. You saw it and you immediately knew that it was a FedEx truck because you recognized the colors, you recognized how they were arranged on the side of the truck. And it's that kind of recognition that all brands strive for. So when I started working at Warmouth, one of the first things I did was create a style guide. And I created a visual style guide to address a lot of the visual concerns that I've already talked about. But I also created a writing style guide. And a writing style guide is pretty much what you think it is. It's a document that lays out the verbiage that a company is going to use so that it stays consistent. For example, are you going to use, when you list dimensions, are you going to use the metric system or the imperial system? And are you going to use fractions or decimals? And if you're going to use both, how are you going to arrange them every time so that somebody looking at your website knows where to look for things and understand what you're trying to say there? Going back to FedEx, do they ever use the words Federal Express, or is it always FedEx? And when you say FedEx, is it Fed space X, or is it Fed no space X? That's the kind of stuff that a writing style guide addresses. And now, to finally arrive at kind of the point of this video, a writing style guide also spells out the nomenclature that you're going to use to describe your products. Mark Twain once said that England and the United States were 2 countries divided by the same language. And, I think he hit it pretty on the nose. We call tubes in the United States tubes, but in England they call them valves. And there are a million other differences. We call the trunk of a car the trunk, and they call it the boot. But even if you stick, just like with US English, there are still a lot of differences. Like, for example, is this a headstock or a peghead? Is this a fretboard or a fingerboard? And incidentally, this is a headstock. A peghead uses free-floating wooden pegs like a violin. And this is a fretboard because it has frets on it. If it didn't have frets like a violin, or like a fretless bass, then it would be a fingerboard. At least that's the way I see it, and those are the words I chose to describe those things. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, like, any reasonably intelligent person can understand that this is both a headstock and a peghead, or a fretboard and a fingerboard. And you would be right if you were talking about native English speakers, but when you have people all over the world looking at your website, or sometimes, you know, viewing your website through a translator, and they see the word peghead on one page and the word headstock on another page, that can be confusing. And heaven knows our options are confusing enough already as they are. So we need to make sure and be precise and use the same words everywhere across the site. When we say headstock, we need to say headstock every time across the whole site where we're referring to this, so that it doesn't confuse anybody. And now, to finally really arrive at the point of this whole video, when I was creating the writing style guide, the question comes up: tuners, what do you call them? And how do you help somebody pick the correct side of tuners for their neck? Some people call these tuners, some people call them tuning machines, some people call them machine heads. We generally call them tuners. But the real difficult part is helping somebody pick the correct side. Because I have a right hand guitar here, so you would naturally think you want right hand tuners. But what happens if you have a right hand reverse neck and you need the tuners that go on this side? Or what happens if you have a 3+3 headstock and you need 3 that go on this side and 3 that go on that side? And so what we do is basically, if you're looking at a headstock straight on, this is the left side and this is the right side. So this guitar has 6 left side tuners. If it had a right hand reverse headstock and the tuners were over here, then it would have 6 right side tuners. And if it were a 3+3 headstock, it would have 3 left side tuners and 3 right side tuners. And I know that that is not completely intuitive, because, you know, a right-handed guitar with left side tuners just seems backwards, but that's the best way that we could come up with to help people pick the right tuners for what they're trying to do. So anyway, there's one more video about something that is crazy complex and difficult to explain, but hopefully that illuminated why we call them left side tuners and right side tuners, and will help you order the correct ones for whatever neck that you're trying to build. Hopefully it gave you a little peek behind the curtain at some of the things that we think about here that may never even occur to you, as we try to take this crazy complex set of options and distill them down to a very concise, clear website. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. If you still have questions, you can go to our website and check out that chart that is on the tuners page. Or you can always email or call our customer service guys. They are the experts at all of this stuff, and they will never steer you wrong. And that's it. Until next time, keep on picking.